the one of the most smallest uh, article in a steel building is what we are discussing. We'll be discussing. It's a roofing fastener. A very boring subject to talk about. The roofing fastener is basically called as the weakest link because that's the only product that holds your entire steel structure. So that's the weakest link, and it has to be really specified with what you would, the fasteners that you need. It's a small part, but it does a big job. It gives you peace of mind, it gives longevity to the building, it increases the life cycle of a building. It has, if you use the correct product, it gives ease of maintenance, safety to you, and stability to the building, and your value of your building increases for a long time. It gives weather tightness and protection. Your thermal insulation and acoustic properties increase, and its aesthetics and appearance of your building is much better if you use the correct fastener. Specifying a fastener is very important part in designing durable, practical connections between building components. There are other technical requirements which a fastener can fulfill, which are mentioned over here. The fasteners used in India, they are normally they are not of a good quality, and they are supposed to be used inside the building, but they're used outside the building, and these are what leads to corrosion. I will show you a couple of examples of how the fasteners failures lead to bad installation. You can see this particular photograph where the particular building has started to corrode and there is rust being formed. It's not just because of the fastener, but because of the wrong selection of the material. This one is due to wrong installation of the fasteners. On a roof, they have installed it on the valley, and that has led to corrosion on the roofing sheet. Plus, you can see how the fasteners have led to corrosion on the entire roof. And when a roof starts to corrode, it's not just a fastener cost would be less than 10% of your roof cost, but you are risking your 90% of your roof cost, which needs to be replaced. So by saving 10%, you're risking 90% of your roof cost sheeting. Again, here you have the stain marks which are there, and the roof, the screws getting cut off at the bottom. I can give you a very good example of a client who was doing a export order of oil in this particular factory, and they had a done deal of doing some X amount of exports. And eventually, when the customer did a site visit, he reduced the order by 1/5. So the owner of the building was oil technologist, and they were supplying to an F1 F1 car racing company, the oil they were supplying. And he was very much upset because the order got down to just 20% of what he expected. And the customer said to him that since you have stains on your building, I don't believe the product that you would give would be dust-free or would not have any particles in the oil, and that would spoil our engines. So these kind of stains also reduce the reputation and orders of the customers. So we feel that it's okay to have these kind of stains and corrosion on this roof, but actually it leads to poor business supplies. This is a factory which was going to open on the next day, and a day prior, due to fasteners being number of fasteners installed were lower, the entire roof flew off. And you can see the number of screws installed while cladding as well. It's so low that the entire roof had to be replaced, which cost the owner quite a lot of money. People want to use two different type of material. In India, people want stainless steel fasteners for a normal roofing, which is over engineering. And actually having a stainless steel fastener leads to bimetallic corrosion. People don't understand why use stainless steel for normal roofing. So it's even not right to recommend stainless steel fasteners to have a longer life of a roof. The stainless steel fasteners, yes, the pull-out strength is lower than the normal thing. Here is an example of what would happen if a roof flies off. This, imagine if that person did not move, what would have happened? So this kind of things do happen in reality, and people don't realize the importance of the fastener. Okay. A small little thing can do a lot of work. People buy fasteners just for three things: hold the roof to the purlin, protect the sheet from corroding, and the water should stop. And the other things what people ask for is the coating to match with the sheet. The installation should be faster and more reliable. But fasteners are much more than that. In India, we don't have a standard to follow. That's why all the people in the roofing industry follow the Australian standard, which is the Australian standard AS 3566. And in India, there is a standard coming up in Bureau of India Standard, which is ISO 18471, but still it is not as comprehensive as the Australian standard. So I would not go more into details of the Australian standard, but anybody wants to know more in the product of the Australian standard, feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to help. The Australian standard AS 3566 is divided into two parts. The first part, which talks about how the fastener has to be made for different steels. Like for a cold roll steel, there's a different fastener. For a hot roll steel, there's a different fastener. The heads are different, the threads are different, the drill tip is different. And the second part of the standard talks about the corrosion resistance required for the fastener based on the area where the installation is done. So these are the two parts of the Australian standards. And in the standard, there are various classifications given. We normally in India like to use class 3 fasteners for all our installation. These are the basic requirements required for the self-drilling screws in class 3. And to meet the class 3 standards, these are some of the tests which are required, like the salt spray test has to be 1,000 hours, the UV testing needs to be 2,000 hours, the Castanis test has to pass 15 cycles, the humidity and condensation, it has to pass 1,000 hours, and the porosity of the coating should be more than 8. So there are very few fasteners available in India passing all these standards. We at Roofix supply a fastener which has got a coating called the rust shield coating. It's a triple layer coating with zinc, mechanical plating, and a polymer on the top. In a screw, the most important part is the washer. This washer has to be of an EPDM product. It's made of low carbon EPDM, which expands and contracts due to the temperature variations during the day and the night. And this is what prevents the water from seeping inside the building. And in India, a couple of screws, they use just the PVC or any ring washer, which is not sufficient to stop the water leakages. As I said earlier, the fastener costs less than 10% of your roof cost, but it ensures 90% of your roof sheet. So what are the critical roles that a fastener is able to protect? I mean, what are the mistakes that happen? People, incorrect installation. is one of the biggest problems that happen. In a hot roll steel, people use a cold roll fastener. In a cold roll steel, they use a hot roll fastener. So unless and until you take an advice of an expert, use the correct fasteners, it is always going to lead to challenges. People do not have proper tools and tackles to do the installation. So it is very, very important in India for an installer to have proper tools, tackles for doing all the installation. Number of fasteners is 4 per square meter as specified by the people who sell these sheets, but number of fasteners installed is always much lower in India. And the fasteners need to be selected with the kind of material the roofing sheets are there. So what happens due to fastener failures? The cost of the whole building increases. There are continuous repairs, maintenance that is required due to inferior fasteners. You have to send people on the top to repair, change the fasteners, change the washers. That leads to lower productivity. Your production stops, your material at the lower end also gets wet, and there are challenges which you need to address when the repair work gets done. And there is always a risk of repairs with machinery, material, and the men who are there down under. As they rightly say, a stitch in time saves you 9. So most of the time while selecting a fastener, you need to know the porosity of the fastener, the metal alloy being used, the passivation, the thickness, the hydrogen embrittlement factor, the seals that are being used in your washers, the screws that you're buying, the heat treatment undergoing by the fastener that you have bought. Tools are very important when you use a fastener, because if you're using a tool which is not right, the installation will not get done properly. The screw gun which they use should have a 25,000 RPM speed. It should have the reverse and forward torque to be able to fix the fastener correctly. What has changed in the fastening technology over the last 20 years? The roofing materials have improved and they are improving. The pollution has increased and the cost and competition are forcing us to provide better service and better quality product to the industry. Please do contact us if you would like to have any recommendation on the self-drilling screws for your projects. And we also deal with a product called Dex Industries. These are the flashings of EPDM which help sealing any cutouts in the steel building. That's my contact details. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you all.